This is the all-new Sigma 14mm F1.4 DGDN Art, and it is, according to Sigma, the widest f1.4 fixed focal length lens available on the market today, apart from fisheye lenses, but those aren't usually f1.4. And it is an astrophotographer's dream. This lens is specifically designed for astrophotography with a high emphasis on reducing chroma, reducing chromatic aberration, and making it optimized for that purpose. But as a result of that, it's also pretty good for architecture work and for super wide landscapes. So let's check it out. It comes in a large white box that is all too familiar looking. Inside there is a manual and a warranty card and a little box full of goodies. Here you will find a few straps for the zippered pouch, a rubber lens heater retainer, an Allen wrench with 2 bolts, and a template for the rear filter cutout. Opening the pouch, you get the lens with a plastic rear lens cap, but the front lens cap is worthy of some time. At first glance, it doesn't look that exciting, it's just a plastic lens cap. But Sigma was pretty genius with this. On the reverse side, there are 2 labeled slots that when you release open a little storage compartment for your rear filter. You can pop one in one side, another in the other, and you always have those rear filters with you as long as you have the front lens cap with you. It's a cool little feature. Now onto the lens, which is a large, heavy chunk of glass polycarbonate TSC, which stands for thermally stable composite, aka high-end plastic, and some magnesium. In total, it's about 1,160 grams or 2.5 pounds. The finishes are all high-end, it feels great, various textures throughout. It's a well-executed lens body as you can expect from the Art series. This new lens has Sigma's HLA or high response linear actuator linear motor for autofocusing, so when it's not connected to a camera and not turned on, you do hear a loose element inside. Starting at the rear, there is a metal mount with electronic connections. Here is the rear filter mount with an all-new locking mechanism that does click into position quite nicely. There is a rubber gasket around the mount, and this lens is dust-proof and splash-proof according to Sigma. To top it off, the front element has a water and stain repellent coating. Moving on to the body, there is a 023 here for a 2023 release and a removable tripod mount, although with that off, it does make the lens look a bit unfinished. Next up is the aperture ring, which is typical Art series goodness. It's clicky, nice to turn, but you can turn the click off with this switch here as well. There are quite a few more switches here: autofocus manual focus switch, an AFL or autofocus lock button, an MFL or manual focus lock switch, and on the other side there is a switch that locks you into or out of auto aperture. The manual focus ring is nice and large and grippy. It has a good feel, a little bit of resistance. It's smooth, but it's all electronic, so you can rotate it infinitely in either direction. Finally, around the front, there is a large convex front lens element that is protected by this built-in rose petal lens hood that is not removable. And this is great because you can place this lens face down on a table and not worry too much about it. But given the price, I took the lens cap with me everywhere. Inside, there are 19 elements in 15 groups with several fancy elements all designed to remove chromatic aberration, chroma flare, and ghosting. Mounted on my Sony a7C, it makes for a big and heavy setup. It's a long lens as well, coming in at just about 6 inches, but it looks good. I will say it makes even my 85mm f1.4 Art look small by comparison. And while I have these two lenses side by side, you will see the only difference in body design is that the material used on the base, it's a polished metal on the 85mm, whereas the 14mm has that TSC polycarbonate. So the question at the end of the day is, how good is this new 14mm Art lens? And notice that I didn't ask, is it good? Because over the last 3 to 4 years, every single Art lens release has been exceptional, in my opinion. They really haven't messed one up yet. So let's take a look at how this thing performs mounted on my A7C. All of these are straight out of the camera, unedited, ready, set, go.
There's something about the way that you say my name. Make me forget everything when you call me late at night. I remember you touching my body, the way you get to me deep where my heart is. Love me so good, but I wish I was heartless. The way you get to me deep where my heart is. Love me so good, but I wish I was heartless. Yeah.
Alright, so optically this lens is absolutely brilliant. I'm used to ultra-wide angle lenses, but I'm not used to super fast ultra-wide angle lenses. That f1.4 creates a very unique look, and it does make this lens special. It is sharp, sharp, sharp. Wide open at f1.4, it's sharp. And it has a very nice flat focal plane, meaning that if the center is sharp at f1.4, the corners are also very sharp as well. The color and contrast is excellent, and the distortions are incredibly well controlled. This lens, in terms of chromatic aberration, is one of the best that I've tested. You can take an image like this and zoom in, and there is just the faintest little remnant of fringing, but most of it is gone. It's a stellar performance in that regard and a wonderful option for landscapes as a result. According to Sigma, they paid special attention to correct chromatic aberration wide open through the entire image and especially at infinity focus, and that's what makes it so good for astro work. The focusing is lightning quick, accurate, and silent. These new linear motors from Sigma are top level, as good as Sony lenses in my opinion. This one is compatible with high-speed autofocus and it tracks very well. There is a little bit of focus breathing if you are manually pulling focus, but I don't see many using this for video work to where that would be a real concern. So what are the negatives? Well, this lens is not cheap. It's coming in at $1,600 US, and there are a couple of ways to look at this. It's top of the line, it's an art series lens, and it's only $1,600. On the other hand, you have competitors out there as well. Even Sigma's own 14 to 24mm zoom, which is an f2.8, is an excellent lens from what I've read. Haven't tested it in person, but I've thought about buying that lens many times. What you get with this 14mm over that zoom is f1.4 instead of f2.8, the linear autofocus motor, and the optical quality wide open. Low to no chromatic aberration and low to no chroma wide open. And that is, for many people who are into astrophotography, worth it. For me personally, if I were to buy an ultra wide angle lens, I would be buying it for real estate, in which case the flexibility of the zoom on the 14 to 24 would be a little bit more appealing, and I wouldn't care so much about f1.4 because I'd be shooting an f8 in every room anyway. But this lens is truly incredible and it's very impressive, and if you are into astrophotography, you should definitely check this thing out. I can appreciate it, and optically this thing is incredibly good. That is going to be it for my review of this lens. I hope you guys enjoyed it and you learned something from it. I have to send this lens back to Sigma. Actually, it's a couple of days past due, but I just wanted to play around with it for a couple of days extra, so I apologize, Sigma, for holding on to it a little bit too long. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section below. I'll have a link to this lens if you want to read more about it in the description. Stay tuned for more and have a nice day. Bye-bye.